Hello everyone, I'm a Broken Robot. When it comes to sci-fi, there are plenty of universes to pick as your favorite. Some people will choose Star Trek for its realistic depiction of how humans would act if we ever became a spacefaring species, or the fan-favorite Star Wars franchise that's intense world-building and deep lore make a sci-fi universe with nearly infinite amounts of stories to be entertained with. Some of the more edgy viewers in the audience might choose franchises like Blade Runner, Dune, or Battlestar Galactica for their gritty depictions of the future showing the folly of man that we seemingly can't overcome. However, one of my all-time favorite sci-fi universes blends the line between gritty and realistic. It doesn't quite fall into the category of franchises like Star Wars or Planet of the Apes that wishes to tell a linear story, but instead simply states the events as they happen. This universe is none other than All Tomorrows, written by the now legendary C.M. Koseman. This novel follows the chronicles of mankind as they spread among the stars in one way or another. While All Tomorrows as a novel doesn't follow a traditional style, its bold story and deeper themes make it easily one of the greatest sci-fi novels ever conceived, for both its realistic depiction of evolution, but also its realistic depiction of civilization and how it evolves and devolves over time. Before I hop into spoiler territory, I highly recommend anybody in the audience, even if you're only mildly interested, to read All Tomorrows, which is currently available on Amazon. If you are looking for an audiobook style, my fellow YouTuber, Beware the Q, has made a masterful rendition of the novel in audio form, as well as most of his channel covering the wider All Tomorrows community. All Tomorrows is a novel that takes place over a span of millions of years, but starts right here on Earth. After overpopulation and pollution has begun to take its toll on Earth's biosphere, humanity at last decided to colonize Mars. While the relationship between Mars and Earth over the years remained stable, as time went on the humans on Mars began to adapt to the lower gravity and began to turn into a species of their own. After a mix of political sanctions and the Martians' drive for independence, referring to themselves as the Martian Americans, the two planets went to war, killing billions over the allocation of resources. When the dust settled and the two made peace, the horrors of war gave humanity a woke state that made them realize that in order to unite the galaxy under man, humans would have to be better adapted for space. Using a mix of genetic modifications and eugenics, humanity gave birth to the Star People, a genetically superior race of humans with bigger brains, better talents, and more equipped for space. Over a period of thousands of years, the Star People spread out among the galaxy, terraforming numerous worlds to their wills. United by intergalactic communication and a shared origin of Earth, the Star People worked together to advance human technology to limits thought impossible over a span of millions of years. When it was all said and done, the Star People had created a massive empire spanning thousands of worlds. However, an early warning in the form of a dinosaur fossil being found on a foreign planet made the Star People fearful that other intelligent species were at large in the universe. While life was abundant in the known galaxies, no form of intelligent life had been located, making the Starmen fearful of a potential encounter with an alien species. Despite humanity arming themselves with weapons that could nova stars and fling asteroids like missiles, when the Q, a mysterious race, a multi-billion-year-old species of genetically superior aliens, encountered the Star People, they saw them as heretics for genetically modifying life on the worlds that the Star People had colonized. An important thing to understand about the Q is that in effort to stop infighting, the Q united under a similar religion where they saw themselves as the sole gods of the universe, left to change the galaxy at whim. When the Q encountered the Star People, they were horrified to discover another intelligent race, but also the fact that said species modified life, which the Q saw as their sole domain. In a series of about 1,000 years, the Q, world by world, conquered the Star People and changed both the humans and the worlds that they lived on to their whims. The Q ruled over the Milky Way for roughly 40 million years, genetically modifying humans into anything from food stock, decorations, and even predators and prey, creating diverse biospheres out of the few pockets of life located on the old Starmen domains. The Star People had been all but diminished to feral creatures in all shapes and sizes. When the Q left, as they were known to travel across the universe in eon-spanning pilgrimages, without the care and watchfulness of the Q, humanity in its devolved state began to change. While roughly 90% of all post-human species created by the Q died off due to natural causes, reliance on the Q, or simple geographical changes, a handful did survive. Some popular examples are the Ruin Haunters, a group of post-humans that explored the ruins of the long-dead Star People for its technology, the Finger Fishers, genetically modified humans that could pluck fish from the ocean with hands that had knives on them, the Worms, pathetic arm-sized humans that lived on a scorched planet of deserts, and the Bone Crushers, a medieval-level intelligent species that survived off putrid meat, showed affection by defecating on one another, and stunk like a used restroom, but they might as well be your own grandchildren. While these post-human species came in all shapes and sizes, they shared a unified background which would help them in the future as more species began to gain true sentience. After millions of years of evolution and changes, species such as the Tool Breeders, Snake People, Predators, modular people, and many others were able to not only form developed societies, but gain true intelligence. But for some of the post-human species, it took multiple world wars and human rights violations on a biblical level to finally globally unite these worlds. But one by one, the post-human species ventured into the stars and would form a second galactic empire far larger than the Star People ever had. However, while the Star People had been snuffed out by the Q over 40 million years ago, a group of starmen hid in hollowed-out asteroids, and with time and their retained intelligence, a sister empire in the form of a fleet of hollowed-out asteroids littered the galaxy. These post-humans, called the Spacers, would evolve into the Astromorphs, a powerful post-human race that lived entirely in the void of space, and had intelligence on an inconceivable level. The Spacers weren't the only remnants of the Star People that would come to play a major role in the fate of humanity. The Ruin Haunters, that had achieved sentience when most of the post-human species were still wild animals, had an extra 30 million years of development that led to their technology surpassing all of the post-human species combined. The Ruin Haunters would go on to create metal robotic frames that used gravity to alter matter to their whim. By the time their homeworld was destroyed by a dying star, the Gravitals had become fully sentient robots that, while machine in all nature, had human desires and dreams, albeit with a cold look towards the galaxy and their other post-human cousins. Because the Ruin Haunters had such a large stockpile of Starmen ruins to pillage compared to other post-human civilizations, the Gravitals took on a dangerous myth that they alone were the true descendants of the Star People. While the other post-human species in the Second Galactic Empire worked to cure all known diseases and invent technologies that would make things like labor, pain, and hunger a thing of the past over an 80 million year period, the Gravitals spent that time gearing up for war with their post-human cousins. In a matter of 10,000 years, the Gravitals brutally slaughtered and eradicated all intelligent post-human civilizations, with a level of genocide unfathomable to the human mind. While life in this region of the universe had once again gone dark, with only the mechanical Gravitals and the hidden Astromorphs remaining, the novel makes it clear that calling the Gravitals evil would be a logical fallacy. While the Gravitals might be fully machine, they still were more in touch with humanity than people let on. And from their point of view, they simply couldn't comprehend that lesser forms of life had a right to live. All but one xenophobic species called the Bugfacers, who had hid from the wider galaxy due to an earlier invasion from a non-human species, saved them from being noticed by the Gravitals originally. When the Gravitals discovered the Bugfacers, the last sole remnants of biological humanity on terrestrial worlds, in a twisted sense of mercy, they genetically modified the Bugfacers into subservient subjects that carried out menial labor, were living art pieces, and even modified tools. For the last remnants of biological humanity, it was a pathetic, sad existence. The modified Bugfacers would end up being the sole saviors of humanity, though. When the Gravitals discovered the Astromorphs, they attempted a similar tactic that they used against the other post-human species. However, due to the Astromorphs' nomad style of living and a million-year advantage in technology to the Gravitals, the war was on a more even playing field. Billions on both sides died, but when it was all said and done, the Astromorphs came out on top after nearly 2 million years of non-stop war. While the triumphant Astromorphs originally planned to simply destroy the remaining pockets of Gravital civilization, to put it bluntly, the Gravitals' unique technology was hard to reverse engineer, and also was far too valuable to let go to waste. A small number of Gravital human sympathizers were allowed to live, albeit with diminished thought matrices that made it harder for the Gravitals to believe in their own myth of being the sole descendants of the Star People. With the Gravitals pacified, the Astromorphs took on the role as the noble watchers of the galaxy, using the few surviving modified Bugfacers to once again repopulate the Milky Way. It took billions of years, but when it was all said and done, the Milky Way once again was bustling with a diverse array of different species and intelligent life that formed the Third Galactic Empire, even encountering other galaxies of intelligent alien species, peaceful to the post-humans that built a larger empire than ever before. This same empire would re-encounter the Q to not only fight off their onslaught, but even subjugate the Q as just another race in their empire. While many of the intelligent post-human species wanted to punish the Q for their crimes against humanity, so much time had passed that the Q themselves no longer knew why they traveled the galaxy modifying life. When the new galactic empire discovered Terra, or Earth as we know it, the origin point for all intelligent life in the Milky Way, many post-humans had been so separated from the memory of Earth and the Q that despite we as the viewer seeing it as a big deal to the wider pan-galactic empire, it was nothing but trivia. The novel ends with a bleak ending that while the history of the human race is still being uncovered at that very moment, what is known according to the narrator, who is now revealed to be the researcher who actually rediscovered Earth, it's known that all human offspring simply vanished nearly a billion years as of the narrator sharing these historical findings. Some theorize that they went extinct due to another great war, or perhaps they simply progressed to a higher plane of existence, but it never really mattered what happened to humanity in the first place. While my short summary helps paint a picture of the sci-fi universe Sia and Kozmen created, the simple fact is that you as the reader aren't supposed to care about what happened to humanity or the Gravittles or the Astromorphs. The narrative focuses on the journey rather than the destination, as well as emphasizing on appreciating the present moment, which reflects a profound existential philosophy throughout the entire novel. The cynical nature of civilizations rising and falling can spark emotions in the mind of readers anywhere, but don't get caught up in the false narrative of what truly matters in life. It's the journey, not the destination, that really counts. Life isn't about fulfilling some grand plan or ultimate destiny. It's the little day-to-day moments and the simple joys found within them that make life worth living. Your life has meaning for the simple fact that you are alive, which is the greatest gift of all. Don't get so focused on the future or other grand narratives to a point that you forget to live in the moment. You might think of yourself as nothing more than a single drop in a vast ocean, yet what is an ocean if not a multitude of drops? All Tomorrows is a powerful story about how all life is precious in the most logical sense of the term. From the Martian Americans to the Tool Breeders to even the Q, these civilizations consisted of individuals with their own hopes, dreams, hatred, and sorrows. What matters in the grand plan of our universe as living sentient beings isn't necessarily that we must live life to the fullest, but we must simply accept life. While we in our own twisted sense of modernity believe that we might be above the actions of humanity in the novel of All Tomorrows, we must learn a bleak lesson from the Star People and their post-human cousins. While ideas such as grandeur, civilization, and utopias are based around the ideas of living for a time that hasn't come yet, it's not about the destination but the trip. Breathe in the air and truly feel it. Take a second to reflect on your surroundings, and take in the eternal moment, as all time you spend living is a precious gift not to be squandered. In the modern age with things like social media, megacorporations, and other mental parasites trying to drag you down to a sense of hopeless pessimism, the simple fact that the very moment you're experiencing right now is on a magnitude that few can comprehend. Simple activities such as talking with friends, going on a walk, or a simple bliss of having a nap hold more value towards the very life you live rather than the nation or civilization you might belong to. Someday everything you know and love and hold dear will change to a level that you couldn't possibly comprehend, but that's okay. What you do today will directly influence tomorrow, and not the other way around. So cherish the gift of life, love today, and seize all tomorrows.